What is going on, 5'9 gamers? My name is Joe Wags, and today I will be your host for your favorite podcast, the Dokkan Battle Podcast. Our podcast is presented to you by 5'9 Gaming, your source for all things gaming, anime, and entertainment related. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things 5'9. Today's episode of the podcast is number 80, All Fun and Cell Games. We have a great show planned for you all today, but we can't have a great show without some amazing guests. So first, I would like to introduce the Master of Slime, Ice Cold Joker. How are you doing?
Good morning, everyone. I'm doing fine because I just got done watching Spy Family, and it's still incredible.
I still have to see that. Ningen, are you still with me at not watching Spy Family?
I am. Yeah, I was gonna say, is this gonna be a weekly thing every episode now?
Until it's over with, yes.
I just gotta find some time. I got summer vacation coming up soon. I'll find some time to watch some anime here. So next up, we have Int Kabe's biggest fan, Minato.
Actually, I would say I'm a Goku/Gohan defender.
Yes.
You know, you already know, underrated unit. I gotta rep that. You know.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
now
we're
the 16 and 18 unit favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you were still Raditz's biggest fan, but you know,
No, that's Luka Dokkan. Luka Dokkan Link level 10 Raditz. He loves him.
Well, there you go. Some people do, right? And then next we've got the Super Battle Road King himself, the Mass Ningen. How are you doing?
Yo, how's it going, everybody? I am excited to be here. Like Minato said, I'm here to explain to the masses why y'all are wrong and are underrating Goku and Gohan. Probably the best you are on global. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into it. And then special shout out to Vilify behind the scenes helping us out. Thanks for what you do back there. Before we get started, I just want to do a quick little promo here. Our boy Gal Riot, who frequents the Dokkan podcast, did a really awesome video here over on 5'9. Basically, a little discussion about which Kamehameha is the most iconic. Got some feedback from some other 5'9 members. So if you're interested in checking that out, please hop on over to 5'9 Gaming and check out that video there. All right, so for the start of our podcast today, we're going to start a lot of content, very different contrast from last week where JP was literally just Patan Battle, and now we've got a hype joint celebration, so a lot to talk about this week. We're going to start with the banners. And so for those of you that don't know, if you're hiding under a rock, we've got a really good new cell and a Goku Gohan exchange unit. So we're going to start with the summons. We want to know, how did everybody's summons go on this banner? Ningen, let's start with you. Was this a Majin Vegeta situation, 1800 stones, or was it a little bit better for you?
Yeah, no, this one went much better. I was very scared because I got pretty good luck on the Goku and Kid Buu dual Dokkan Fest. I think I went just over 1,000 stones total to get like 2 dupes for both of them. So when it came to this one, I thought, you know, with the way the luck seems to go back and forth, I was a little bit concerned. And I remember, obviously, Global got discounts for the first 3+1 step. I got 0 featured units on either banner in the discounted steps. But then, fortunately, my luck turned around not long after that. So I think in total on stream, I did just over 1,000 stones. And I managed to get both units. I got very lucky because I got down to having 150 stones. I'd already pulled Goku and Cell. The only unit I hadn't pulled was the new Vegeta, so I decided to do the last 150 on the Goku banner, and then, yeah, I think it was like the third multi, I actually got a Zeno and got a second Goku, and then in the free multi, I got Vegeta. So it took me just over 1,000 stones. I got all 4 of the new units, and as tempted as I am to summon for more dupes, obviously, being on global, the fact that Ginyu and the anniversary are still to come, I'm going to try and resist doing any more summons. But yeah, pretty good for me.
Yeah, I think I had made the comment with you that, you know, thankfully there was no Int Vegetas on the banner. So then
yeah, exactly.
That allowed you to have a little bit of luck there, right? No Int Vegetas in sight.
Yeah, exactly.
Minato, how was your summons?
Well, the Goku and Gohan ones went fine, I guess, right? I did get them in around 350-ish stones, which, you know, I'll definitely take that one copy. So far, I'm like 750 in without a cell. I got 316 and 18s. Oh boy, right?
Oh boy.
So there's this stat with cell. I don't know if I'm gonna really get so. I use all the cell stones and everything like that. But yeah, I think the banners haven't been treating me that great compared to other banners for sure, but I'll definitely take it, right? Better to have at least Goku and Gohan compared to not having them, right?
Yep, for sure. Joker, how about you?
I had very limited stones to go into because my slime game is going through a half anniversary right now, and I've been focusing and spending all my money there. So I had to use what I had and not resist the temptation to buy any sale stones. But I had enough to do a rotation on Cell, which gave me 2 Janembas, and then I am now starting my third rotation on the Goku Gohan banner, and I have pulled an LR Cell and a PyCon, and that's it. So it's
So
not
the
looking too
best
good
luck
for me,
there.
but I'm not really too fussed about it. I'll just wait for them to come back, probably on the worldwide celebration banners, and I'll just summon there
Yeah.
and probably pull them or buy them, whatever works.
Yeah, I mean, how good of a feeling is it to get these units as the secondary unit on a banner, right? So like you'll have the hype new worldwide units, and then these guys will just be sitting there. So that's definitely not a bad plan. My summons were pretty darn good, to say the least. My luck has definitely turned around. I did my initial video on my channel is 950 stones, and in that 950 stones, I got 2 Gokus and I rainbowed Cell, which was absolutely insane. And then I went back off camera because I liked the Goku Gohan so much at 69%. I'm like, I kind of wanted to see if I can sneak another copy because I really wanted that extra hidden potential, and I wanted the gold equip swap because additionals are so important on him. I really wanted to open that up. I got the copy so quick, I just kept going, and I rainbowed them both in 1,300 stones, which is absolutely crazy. I got 0, 16, and 18s, which I am not mad about at all. And I got 2 AGL Vegetas, which 2 AGL, I mean, the theme this week might be mid Vegeta, because I think we got a couple mid Vegetas we're going to be talking about here, but I don't really care about the AGL Vegeta. We'll talk about them later. But yeah, anybody else? Any other thoughts on the banner, the summoning part? I think everybody said what they wanted to.
Yeah, I
All
got
right.
some decent
Differences?
side stuff. Like I got my last copy to finally Rainbow AGL LR Gohan. I got my first dupes for Heart Virus Goku. One thing I did notice though is we talked about this before. I know it's like a random anecdote, but like you know how when you're doing a summoning session, it always feels like you see the same random general pool SSRs that like you might not have even seen them for like a couple of banners, and then all of a sudden you just pull the same one multiple times. I'd never pulled is it Margarita, the AGL Angel from
Yep.
Universe 11? I never pulled her, and then I pulled like 3 copies in the 1,000 stones I spent on these 2 banners. So that was pretty crazy.
I don't think I've awakened her yet. I think she's still sitting at level 1 for me.
Yeah, that was me with Inkabe, ironically enough, Minato's favorite card. I just didn't have them, and then like within 2 banners, I pulled 3 copies. It was pretty crazy. And on this banner, I don't remember what it was, but there was one like really like random unit that I pulled like 2 multis in a row. And I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So yeah, I feel like it does happen like every time, for sure. I'll just open this up in general for anybody, but does anybody want to give their opinions for the average player? Should you skip this banner? Should you save, or should you summon on this? Who wants to take this one?
I would say it's not a bad idea to skip.
It's not
Yeah.
a bad idea to skip, is what you're saying?
No, because the thing is, I think that these units should return. When will they return on Global again? I don't. They might return for Worldwide Celebration actually, right? I think they
Yeah,
did
that's
last
what I
time,
was
Yeah.
thinking.
just like with JP, right?
Yeah, let me double check the last year's one to see. But the thing is, like, obviously for JP, the banner has a lot more value because obviously it has Goku and Kid Buu, which is it's their first
Oh,
return,
yeah,
isn't it?
yep,
So it's
yep.
like, yeah, pretty big. Going for these new units, but also having the possibility to pull them at the same time is obviously
Yeah, I guess
pretty
it's
exciting. But
right. I guess it should be stated that Global has Super Vegeta in the Tech Cal and Caulifla, which is a lot like less enticing than what JP's got with the Goku and Buu. So JP, you might have a little bit more of an argument, but Global, not only is our banner worse, but we have the anniversary coming up, right? And I do believe this Golden Week slot was the GT Goku and Vegeta last year, and they were back on Worldwide. So I'm pretty sure that that's where these would slot in. If correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where they would slot in.
yeah,
So yeah, are
just
you
getting
checking
up.
on it?
It took me a second to find the worldwide celebration banner from last year, but yeah, Goku and Vegeta came back on that. So yeah, for global players, it's potentially going to be Worldwide download celebration is well, I guess for everyone, right? Because the celebrations on both versions at the same time, this one and that one. So worldwide celebration should be when they return. And if it's anything like last year, the worldwide download celebration LRs are probably going to be the 2 new best units in the game. So I think that's probably the reasoning behind, like Minato saying, it's not necessarily the worst idea to skip, because you're probably going to want to summon for the download celebration LRs, and then these guys should be on those banners. But
Yep. The one thing I would say is, if, like, let's say you're a really new player and you barely have any leader skills, the Goku Gohan has one of the best, I would say, beginner leader skills in the game, being Super Saiyan and Goku family, because it's just such a vast roster of units, and those units are coming out constantly, right? But the anniversary is also going to have very good leader skills. So yeah, the anniversary is definitely, I think, where you want to go for sure. So with that, we are going to transition into actually talking about these new units. So we're going to start with the STR Goku and Gohan, and I think we all definitely have some opinions here. I've already heard a couple people say it already, but I think a lot of us think the Goku is a little bit underrated in that form. So Ningen, let's just start with you. What are your thoughts on the STR Goku Gohan?
they're great. Possibly the best TUR on global currently. I don't know. I need to do a bit more testing to see how I would compare them to like Super Saiyan 2 / Super Saiyan 3 Goku. But when it comes to the like comparing Gohan and Cell, I made a tweet when I tested them both out at 55%, and I was discussing it with someone today, and I basically just kind of quoted that tweet from 2 days ago saying I probably still think this is true, where I think Goku is better than first and possibly second form Cell. Then obviously once Cell becomes perfect Cell, he easily outclasses Goku. But then once Gohan comes out, it's kind of a case of Gohan is much better defensively and can still put out good attack stats. But then obviously Cell is much better offensively because he can get multiple supers with like built-in crits in his, even at 55%, he's one of those units that can do everything in the hidden potential system, which is obviously a massive bonus. So they are very close, but I think people are massively underrating the Goku side of this card. There are definitely, he's kind of like Saiyan Vegeta, where there are some weird things about his design that definitely could have been done better, but that does not make him a bad unit. Like, I think he's really, really good. And I think people are just underrating him because you have to be smart the way you play with him. He's not a unit that you can just put in like any slot and he does big numbers and therefore he's good. Like as Goku, he's pretty much a slot 2 unit, and then there's certain ways to play with him to make him as effective as possible. And then even like I know people have been complaining about because he doesn't have any built-in additional, it's potentially going to be a long time till you get Gohan out, especially at 55%. But in some of the longer form events, you want to wait until a bit later towards the end anyway, because obviously one thing I've noticed in my testing is you really do want to get that exchange into Gohan on a turn where he can take a load of hits. Because in my original 55% showcase, it's like my first time using him. So it's just, that's how I record my 55% one. So I'm just going in fresh. I've probably read his passive only like twice. And I transformed him probably slightly too early. And I actually had the thing where one of the 2 Gohans, because I was running double leads, didn't get hit enough times to get his permanent guard by the time the 3-turn guard runs out. So you kind of have to play with him a bit smart. Like, you don't want to bring Gohan out straight away necessarily all the time. So I don't think it matters too much that you can't always get him out super early. But yeah, I think he's great and very underrated currently.
Yeah, and that's why I like that he's an active skill, because you can choose the right turn to transform, because you could get a turn where no attacks are coming in, or it's in slot 3 and you don't want him off rotation. So you can just stay in stack more, and the more you stack with Goku, I mean, you're just going to get more attack anyways later on. So that's kind of a nice thing there. Joker, I know you didn't pull him, but do you have any opinions? Do you watch any videos on him?
Yeah, I've seen Truth Showcase on him, and he looks very good. Like Ningen said, Goku is a very dependent slot 2 unit because he doesn't get his dodge until after he supers, which is another one of those unfortunate things that I really hope they fix. But then if you build him full of additionals, he gets his super attacks, and you bring out Gohan, and then Gohan is just going to sit there and do what most Gohans do in this game, and that's tank. Tech Gohan, I mean, we'll talk about him a little bit later, but STR Gohan's EZA is coming. So Gohans are still just defensive walls, and if you can get him out, then he becomes your main slot 1 unit, and there's not really a lot you could do about it because he's still shooting out what, like 6 million attack stats and guaranteed guard once you get that, and it's kind of gross.
Yeah, it definitely depends on what Gohan's looking like. Well, I'll talk about it in my analysis, but I'll go to Minato first. Minato, what are your thoughts on this unit?
Underrated, right? The thing about this Goku and Gohan unit is they are built specifically to take on Omega and Broly, in my opinion. The reason why is because Goku has the high chance to stun, which, if you guys weren't aware, the first phases of Broly and Omega can be stunned, right? You could stun in both of those phases. So it allows you essentially to take no attacks in the first phases of those fights, which is incredibly just useful for, like, say if you have stacking units on your team, units that may want to take a few turns to build up. Being able to do that and kind of stall is really good, especially when you want to beat those events. I personally was able to no item Broly, like, my second second try with that team mode specifically that I did. I know item Broly. I was very easy with the Goku / Gohan team, and Goku did hold up his own. Mine was 55%, and he did more than fine. Once you get Gohan out, of course, that's when things really get crazy with this guard. Like Negan said, you want to time where you're going to exchange with him so you can make sure you can guarantee yourself that guard permanently for the rest of battle. I will say, if you're not able to get the guard, Gohan becomes significantly less impressive. And at the very least, though, Gohan can still counter Ki Blast super attacks, which could be quite powerful in some difficult content. Overall, I really like the design of this unit. I think they did extremely well. I think the Goku portion of the card is definitely underrated. People think his performance is worse than it is. The funny thing, Ningen, is that you said, like, you think Goku's stronger than first and second form Cell, but then Perfect Cell you think he's weaker, but then you think Gohan is stronger than Perfect Cell, right? That's like how it was in this series, right?
Yeah, well, there you go. See, Dokkan perfectly designing the units again.
Exactly. Look, you gotta think about that. So true. But yeah, specifically the Goku though, he's really good, and I love his leader skill as well. Very, very easy beginner leader skill, like Joe said.
Yeah,
I love it when
so-
they do stuff like that. Just to say, like, it's a random side note, but that just exactly reminds me of the thing with physical Broly transforms on turn 4 and then Gogeta transforms on turn 5 because Broly transformed first in the movie. Like, I actually love stuff like that. So yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah, in the comment on the leader skill, I think Goku and Gohan have the best overall, like the 170 leader skill, but I think Cell's got the better for 200 for sure. We'll talk about Cell when we get to him, but that's just the Android Cell Saga part for the Goku, like, it's like, that's very limited once you get in there, but Cell's is immaculately designed, which is why I really wanted him. But yeah, I do think the Goku phase is also underrated. Like, I think people see that turn 1, he'll have like a 4 mil-ish attack stat and be like, oh, that's not good. But he's stacking attack, and by his second, third attacks, he's over 7 mil attack. Like, by the time you're getting to Gohan, the Goku's hitting like 7 mil, and his attack isn't bad after Super. You just can't put him in slot 1. But he's got good defense after Super, and then he's got that utility of the dodge and stun chance, right? Which is really good for those red zone events, and I think for Super Battle Road as well. And then Gohan, I mean, I've been using my rainbowed one, and when he's fully built, he's like touching 10 mil. Like, he's 9.5, 9.6 with guard, and like after Super, I think he's like 600 to 700k defense. Like, he's just a wall, like, ridiculous. So that fully built Gohan to me is the best TUR in the game, but it's the question of how long does it take to get there? Can you get the guaranteed guard and all that? But I love this unit. I think they're fantastic and super, super awesome unit. I'm so glad I have them, and they're definitely a lot of fun. So let's move on to the banner unit. We have the AGL Super Saiyan Vegeta. Joker, have you had a chance to look at the Super Saiyan Vegeta at all?
No, and I kind of forget what he does, so
Okay.
pass on me.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's go to Minato. Minato, what are your thoughts on the Vegeta?
I think it's probably better than people might think.
Hell
Just because the thing is, I find it'll be easy to get the attacks he needs. Because if you think about it, right, he does have to take at least 2 separate turns to get the extra 100% attack and defense. But in those first few turns, he does basically do 3 additional attacks, right? So that's not very hard to get. And I think that just the pure stats alone with his actual like character stats, 10,000 defense or so, I think is what he has. He'll be able to perform pretty nicely. In long events, you can't get that super effective. I think that that's something that people will see, 10 attacks, they'll be like, oh, that's so bad. But you can get that probably pretty nicely in like difficult content like red zone or omega or broly, something like that, right? Legendary events you can get that off, and once he's super
Uh-huh.
effective from there he'll start doing some pretty good damage. So I think this Vegeta's fine for just a build up unit. I wouldn't like take him into super bad road and be like, oh yeah, he's gonna kill in here, right? No, he's you gotta definitely go ahead and put him in the right circumstances for him to really work well. I don't think he's like the best thing ever, but he's still pretty solid.
Yeah. Ningen, how about you?
Yeah, I agree. I tried him out at 55%. I haven't got any extra copies of him. But yeah, I think he's very good. And like Minato said, you need 10 attacks to get him to be effective against all types. But for his first 4 turns, he's gonna be attacking 3 as long as you can pick up 3 orbs, because obviously you can get screwed over by the orb field. But that is something, as long as you're not finishing off a phase in a longer form event, you can plan around, so you can make sure you've got 3 orbs sat for him to pick up. So he's going to get 3 attacks every turn, and that's if he then doesn't get the hidden potential additional a single time. So in those first like 3 turns, he's probably going to get at least 1 additional from the hidden potential, so he's going to attack 10 times. And I feel like people like complain about, oh, he has to attack 10 times to become effective against all types. Like, effective against all types is obviously a very powerful mechanic. It's cool when units just have it, like Gogetas and stuff like that. But like early on in a long form event, the phases are easier. So it doesn't necessarily matter that he's not got that extra little bit of damage boost. And then by the time you get to the end of the event, like say like the Vegeta event or the new Infinite Dragon Ball History stage or something like that, it's at the end of those events when the enemies are harder and have more health, is then when he's going to be effective against all types, which is when you want it. So I don't think it's necessarily a huge issue that it takes ages to build up. The attack and defense thing, not being able to get it in one turn is, I guess, a little bit annoying for shorter content like Super Battle Road. But at 55%, I definitely think he was better than people were making him out to be when his details came out. And then obviously remember, of course, he is a 7 out of 7 link partner for STR Super Vegeta, which is pretty cool.
The one thing I want to point out as well, just before we continue on, but I want to state that there's 2 things, right? One, his attack and defense, the buffs that he gets when attacking, they activate mid-turn, right? So like say like on turn, yeah, let's literally say on turn 3, right? You can say you got like 3 attacks first turn, then you're getting 4 attacks on turn 3. Those last 2 attacks, since they're attack 6 and 7, or yeah, 6 and 7, they will have the additional attack and defense 100%. Because it's mid-turn, or say you're like your attack 11, like in the middle of a turn, you'll be super effective from there, because it says starting from the turn in, with the character performs the attack, right? Based on what I'm understanding at the very least.
Yeah,
And
because I think you can see the images come up, like when the character gets like the attack up and all that sort of stuff. You can see them, I think, for him.
yeah, and another thing is that when the total math is done and he has his full boost, since the last to 100%, well, the last like 200% of his passive, it's basically calculated separately when attacking. It's a total of 500% attack and defense when he's fully built up, which is quite good, right? 500% is a pretty good number.
Mm.
Yeah, I think people that maybe don't like the Vegeta, just they look at that turn 1 attack stat that's maybe like 2.5 mil or something and be like, oh, he's not that good. But he is a build-up unit. And once again, with the 10 attacks, when you're capable of doing 4 attacks per turn, like you could be his second turn out, he could already have 8 attacks in. So the question I want to ask though, to me, like, I don't think he's a bad unit, but the reason why I'm not too overwhelmed with him is just because on the teams that he's on, I feel like there's better options I'm going to run on rotation. So I'm just not really sure. And he's great as a 707 linking partner with Super Vegeta, but then Super Vegeta has lots of like 6 and 5 linking partners that are just, as good, if not better. But that's the reason why I wasn't too like up in arms about him, but he is a good unit. He's not bad. He's definitely better than the other banner unit we are going to be talking about, for sure. But my question is, I feel like there's a couple ways you might want to build this guy, because I could see somebody saying build him with crit because he's got so many additional normals and you want the damage out of that. But then someone else could say go more additional because you want to get the 10 attacks, and then when you're super effective, you don't need the crit. Do you guys have any thoughts on like the best way to build this guy?
I think probably just additional, right? Additional crit doesn't really matter. Like a nice blend of it. I don't think he really benefits too much from going either way. Is what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, just kind of
Yeah.
mix it up.
Because, like you said, once you get the effective against all types, crit obviously still does make it do a little bit of extra damage, but not as
Yeah.
much as if you weren't having that effective against all types. And then his defense is obviously good, but I think he's a unit that I would potentially consider giving a bit of extra dodge when I get dupes. Because not obviously I'm one of those people I give every unit level 3 dodge.
Yeah.
I would potentially give him more than that, because I don't really feel like he needs that much crit. So I'd give him a bunch of additional, and then potentially any of the nodes that are like crit or dodge, I might just
Yeah.
give him more dodge, to be honest.
Yeah. For me, I know for like some of the people like you, Ningen, that like to give a little bit of dodge. I think there are some units like the STR Gohan. Would you give him dodge though and risk like dodging a guard chance? Or would that be a unit that you would avoid dodge altogether? Have you thought about that on that Gohan?
I have actually thought about it a little bit, because obviously I only have one dupe. So
Yeah.
there are certain units where I need to think about it. And so with the first dupe, I don't give them the 3 dodge. And then when I eventually pull a second one, maybe I will. Because obviously for this guy, I thought the focus with getting the first dodge, I did give him quite a bit of additional. Getting the first dupe. So yeah, I gave him mostly additional. I finally managed to get a decent silver level 5 additional for.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've been in the mud for skill orbs. I had to give him a level 1 silver additional on the day that I pulled him. And then obviously, fortunately, I got a decent one literally like yesterday or whatever. So he now has, I think he's like got 14 additional or something with the one
Okay.
dupe. So yeah, I'm not too sure, because you definitely don't want to get into that situation where it could potentially happen, where you're on that last turn where he's getting
Yeah.
his guaranteed guard from his passive, and then he dodges like the 6th attack, and so he now doesn't have permanent guard. So I'm not too sure, because Goku has built-in dodge, so he doesn't
Yep.
necessarily need to have the 3 dodge either. So there are 1 or 2 units, as much as I said, I give everyone level 3 dodge. There are 1 or 2 units that I don't, because as far as I'm concerned, if a unit has at least like 50% dodge built in, then I don't bother giving them anymore. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But since I'm hopefully going to resist summoning, I guess I won't have to decide that until
Right.
the download celebration. So
Well, at this point, I would take the level 1 additional. I have no STR like additional, so I'm hoping Chain Battle is good to me. We'll talk about Chain Battle a little bit later, but yeah, definitely for me, I went all additional on him because I wanted to get into Gohan as quick as possible. Let's jump into the cell side of things. So we're going to talk about the AGL cell. So Minato, let's start with you. You didn't get him, but do you have any thoughts on the cell?
I think it's good. I think that he made the first and second forms, they're really good, but I might think that they're like a teensy tiny bit overrated, just a smidge, right? Especially when comparing it to the Goku and Gohan. People act like he's like a billion zillion times better than that unit, which is not true at all, right? The cell can be very, very powerful, but he wants to be facing certain enemies. Well, like, say again, if we take Red Zone, most of the content in Red Zone, you don't face multiple enemies, I feel like, for most of the stages that you're in, right? Well, there are some situations that you do. You have to keep in mind that this cell, he triple supering is very nice, right? I do like the triple supering, but it's only a 30% chance until he's perfect form cell. I think in the first 2 forms again, he can look pretty powerful with the luck, but it's like a little bit of a low chance for me for him to really look as strong, like triple super, triple 5, 6, 8 million attack stats, whatever. Now when he gets to perfect form cell, I like him a lot better, because he gets the high chance to super attack, which is very, very good. He just gets overall more stats, even if it's just multiple enemies or 1 enemies. By the time you're at turn 5, you're most likely facing 1 enemy anyways, but yeah. He has the rage mode, which could be interesting. Great leader skill. I really like the Cell a lot. I just think that his biggest issue currently is partners. None of the other cells are good. It's like second form cell is runnable, right? Well, I would say second form cell is very solid, right, for sure. But I don't think he's like top tier, partner that this guy really would want. Unfortunately, so we do need a new cell. Now, when we get a new cell, this guy will definitely shoot up for me. I think that's just the biggest thing right now, because the androids team is not built around these cell links like big bad bosses, ultimate life form, stuff like that. Mister from the future is another link, right? All these like cell specific links that other units on the androids team don't have, which is an issue for sure, but I definitely think he's good.
For sure. Joker, did you check out any videos on the cell?
Yeah, no, I'm just watching Truth's showcases, and he seems like, I'm pretty sure Minato said most of what I would say is that his first two forms are kind of restricted against multiple enemies, which is good for Super Battle Road, not really good for Red Zone, but at least he has multi-use, because in Red Zone you can definitely get to perfect form, and then in SBR you start at full strength first and second form cells. So that's always a plus for him. And then perfect form looks really, really good. The only thing I'm not overly fond of is any kind of rage mode in this game right now, because they're all pretty meh. Even if
They
he gives
suck.
himself guaranteed crits, it's like he has no links. He has it's kind of a wonky multiplier, and it's only one turn. It's like, sure, you're invincible technically, but it's like, I would rather not mess up my rotations if I kill someone in rage mode, because I can't set him, and then going to the next turn, and then the next turn after that, everything is all messed up, and I'd rather just not do that. So even if I pull him, I'd probably never use it.
Yeah, my thought with the giant ape form and the rage mode, it's like, well, what's the point of it? Like, sure, you're invincible, but what does it matter if you're barely doing damage to the enemy? You're literally just stalling out and doing a little bit of chip damage. I mean, the cell with the guaranteed crits will definitely do some okay damage. He's got 2 key, which helps, but like, yeah, a lot of times you'd rather just keep the rotation going, and it's more of an interruption than actually something that helps you out, right?
Yeah.
Ningen, well, I'll let you jump in next. What are your thoughts on the cell?
Yeah, I mean, basically everything has been said. Like, that's why I think the discussion between Goku and Gohan is not as the Goku, Gohan, and Cell is not as one-sided as people are making it out to be. Because obviously, the first couple of phases, you don't get his full potential against one enemy. Which obviously, Super Battle Road can always be part of the discussion when ranking units. We shouldn't only use the red zone, but obviously in the red zone, which is the most difficult content in the game and what a lot of people are basing like the meta and power creep on now, you do mostly fight one enemy, at least in the harder stages. So obviously he doesn't get his full potential straight away. I have tried him out in Super Battle Road though, and obviously he's pretty crazy. And then yeah, Perfect Cell is nuts. Like I mentioned before, he's one of those units where at 55% he can do absolutely everything, because he's got built-in dodge, he's got built-in crit, and he's an AGL unit. So even at 55%, he has level 5 additional as well. So he's definitely very, very good. But yeah, just I'm glad somebody else said it, because like rage modes suck. I thought the last unit was Janemba because I forgot about Great Ape Vegeta, because obviously I'm on global. But like, yeah, I know that they have been taking steps to make them better, but like it really shows with some of the characters that have gotten easy A's as well, where it's just like not transforming them, the unit and the rest of the rotation is just so much better than the rage mode. So it's like, why would you do it? At this point, I feel like it's literally just for maybe newer players where like your team is maybe not the most optimal, most of your units are like 55%, then obviously in more difficult content, having a turn where you can deal some extra damage without taking any damage back could be useful. But yeah, for most people, it's just like if you've got Cell with a decent link partner and some support, he probably does more damage overall with his super attacks in slot 1 than the entire rage mode. And then you still have the units in slot 2 and 3. So they definitely, if they're going to keep giving units this ability, I feel like they need to make it more worth using. So I don't know if maybe they just overvalue the fact that you don't take damage for a turn, because as we've said, like if you're running a team of some of the best units in the game, outside of maybe taking a stray super, you don't really take damage in a turn anyway, because it's just like double digits. So They really need to fix the that whole mechanic, I think.
Well, and if you guys remember, back originally, you didn't even get hidden potential during that. They had to update that just to add
Yeah.
the hidden potential in.
Yeah,
And
I
then
remember those days.
yeah, and then it's like I think they've made some strides with like they understand that they need key, so they've been giving some of them key in the rage mode. To me, what they need to do, the next step is they just need to activate all 7 links. They just because when you take away all the links, you're kind of just neutering the unit. Like that units get a lot from links. So if you just said that the transformed unit just links with itself and you get all 7 links, I think that would be a huge move forward to make them look a lot better. My thought on the cell, my favorite part of the cell is the leader skill. I kind of touched on this earlier, but it's a very well built leader skill where when you're running the 2 categories of the 170, androids are primarily what you want to run, and then the androids category getting the 30% makes it really good. It's finally a good team we can run the tech androids on. Because their leader skill, they kind of dropped the ball. So now I can actually run them with androids. The only thing I don't like is I still can't run the GT 17s, like the Trenchcoat one and the Hellfighter 17. They kind of got missed here, but at least we've got, the friend unit 17 and 18 still really good. You can run the tech 17 and 18. So I do really like the team. But I would agree that Perfect Cell is just crazy because he's like the Gohan. I was using my rainbowed one. He was touching 10 mil. He was in that 9.5 mil attack stat. But the difference is he can super 3 times. So he has the potential for darn near a 30 mil attack stat in a turn, which is absolutely crazy. So I would agree with Cell is definitely the more offensive of the two, but the Gohan is the better defensive and therefore the better unit overall because defense to me is king in this game. So any other thoughts on the Cell?
I just want to say, I did say it on Twitter when he was announced, but finally a 200% lead for the GOAT Super 17. So that's all you need to know about Cell.
He still
That
sucks.
is correct. He still sucks. Yeah, so yeah, Super 17, that's another one. That's really awesome that he's on there, right? The other thing I will mention too is that this is exciting because we talked about Cell missing the good linking partner, right? I think a couple of possibilities. We could see an EZA possibly for Cell in part 2, maybe the physical one, maybe the int one. But then we know Dragon Ball Super Hero is coming. There's going to be an android there in some way, shape, or form. A lot of people are thinking maybe a Cell. So once that drops, this Cell could be looking even better. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Let's jump to like the most hype unit of the banner, Android 16 and 18. Monado, do you want to tell us how much they suck?
Well,
He loves pulling them, though. He loves pulling copies of them.
yeah, they're great. They're I love pulling them, man. But they're just like super inconsistent everywhere, right? You want a super class ally, you want an extreme class ally. Actually, no. Let me clarify that. Right, you do. There's different buffs when there's a super class ally, extreme class ally, super class enemy, extreme class enemy. So they're all over the place with that, right? You have to remember which one is activated, so you're not always going to get the same thing every time, which could be annoying, right? And then even with having to have certain allies, then they have a 30% chance to be super effective or guard. Which is like, okay, that's just more inconsistencies with the unit. Then they want to be on high HP so they can get the full stat boost. If you're on lower HP, you don't get the full stat boost, which again, depending on your HP level, makes them inconsistent. And then the only consistent thing about them is obviously their links. And then the fact that they do greatly raise defense on super, which could be quite good. That is a good super attack effect. Then you realize their best partners are Android 16s, which at least the Int 16 is runnable in some situations, but it's like Tech 16 sucks, I feel like, right? When he doesn't get his guard off. Well, same with the Int 16, right? And then there's the old Int 16, the non-Super Strike one. It's like, I don't know. One thing I don't like about units is when they're inconsistent so much. I hate inconsistency in my units. I want to know, okay, I'm using the unit, I'm going to get this for sure, right? Or like I have a really good, at least it's like, if it's like, like a high or above chance to get the stuff. At that point, I'm like, okay, at least, it's a good likely chance to get it. Especially if there's no other like things that like chances of the unit. This unit is just all like specific situations you get an entirely different unit at times, which I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I mean, yeah, I don't like the unit. That's really I'm done.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is like, why do they need to have this randomness in their support passive when you just got other units that are like, all right, 3 key, 40% attack and defense? Like, why can't they just have that? Why can't they just be like better defensively? Why not just always give them guard? Or they're so afraid of it since Tech Ultimate Gohan. That's the biggest thing. They are so afraid of guard now because they've seen what it did to him. When this unit first got announced or when it first got leaked, I'm like, all right, maybe it's going to be a good 16. We can actually run with Gohan and get him transformed. And it's like Dokkan, for whatever reason, just hates Android 16. They just cannot get him right. None of his forms ever seem worth running. Maybe the Int 16 will get an easy A and they can fix him. I don't know, but we'll have to see. Ningen, do you have any thoughts on 16 and 18, or go ahead?
I do want to point out, although 16 is definitely their design is not good, I think their stats in the right situations, they're still like their stats, pure stats are solid, right? Defensively at the very least. Both stay super attack, right? Because you could see them probably around like 250k defense, and then they get the great raise, right? And it's like at that point, it's like solid, right? For sure, but I don't know. That's really all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, they're runnable. They're just, are they going to be the first choice you want to put on that team?
Yeah.
Ningen, go ahead.
So that's the biggest problem with them, like you said, is that last part, right? Is because I don't want to go as far as to say I like them, but I think that they are, I mean, I feel like that's the theme of this celebration now, apart from maybe Cell, is that all of these units are just being underrated by most people. Because when I read their kit, obviously you can pick out like the problems, and like Minato said, inconsistency is definitely a big thing. They're not going to be doing the same thing on the same team set, like on different team setups and in different events. But like, there is a part of me that likes that, because at the same time, you see a lot of people complain. Like, if you remember when Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta came out, the Int one, and like LR Jiren, and people are like, oh, all they do is big numbers, like Caveman, Unga Bunga unit. And it's like, with this unit, they tried to make them something different and interesting, where they get different abilities against extreme or super enemies, or with extreme and super allies. So obviously, if you have them with an extreme and super ally, then that gives them even more like of a diverse range of abilities. I like the idea behind it, but the execution is obviously just not, they didn't quite nail it. But obviously, as I've said many times in the past, it's often been the bane of my existence when doing the no iron runs for Super Battle Road. Chance to guard sucks. I don't know why, especially medium chance to guard. I mean, come on, 30%?
30%, yeah.
High chance to guard is bad enough, but I mean, come on, at least give them high chance to guard. But yeah, I do think they're an interesting unit. I got one dupe for them. Their stats, like Minato said, their stats are good. Like post super attack, their defense is actually pretty good. And then obviously if you get an additional super, their defense is looking really good. The problem is that's not going to help them against a really tough enemy, especially an STR enemy, if that guard doesn't go off. And then of course, remember the guard is when there's an extreme class ally. So if you want to use them on a more super based team, they actually can't guard at all. So you have to definitely be very careful with how you use them. So like, I like the idea behind them. I just don't think they are obviously super great in execution, but I definitely don't think they're terrible. And to sum up, like I said, the biggest problem is when you consider how stacked all of the teams that they're on are, it's like, where would you run them realistically? Because obviously, if you want to run them, like you said, if you have a new unit with Android 16 in the name to potentially get the super for Gohan, well, that means you're going to be running him with potentially super allies, which then means he can't guard. So you have to think very carefully about team building. And I think to really get the most out of this unit, it's only going to be in like specific events with specific team builds. So I can see why people don't like that. But I feel like in their best case scenario, like they are still actually pretty good. But obviously, I wouldn't want to pull 3 copies of them and no sell. But
Right. I would say like maybe saying that they suck is kind of harsh. I would say that maybe poorly designed is a better term for them. But yeah, they're not bad. And I would kind of, for me, lump them in with the Vegeta, where like they could have some use. They're runnable. I just don't know if they're going to be my top choice, if they're even going to make the cut for my team, right? That's kind of where I'm at with them. Joker, do you have anything to add on the 16 and 18?
No, I think we've crapped on them enough.
We've got him
For
down.
at least 20 minutes.
Yeah. I think maybe it's time we just move on here. So we'll move on. We're going to go to some JP exclusive content. So Minato, we're going to look at you here. The outline specifically says Prime Battle Mid Jita. So tell me about this int Mid Jita. Tell me about the event and what you think of the unit, Minato.
Well, the event's very easy. They just had no troubles at all. The units are easy to farm up, and really just would take you like 20 minutes to really just clear the entire event, get all the medals. So that's why it's really not difficult. Prime Battle currently just destroys that event. Then when you get to the unit themselves, I think the issue with the unit is that their stats are just too low. The percentages, they get like 50% attack, 70% defense. Then they get some extra attack and defense when they get extra defense when they're above HP, which I hate that kind of passive, because ideally you want more defense when you're at lower HP anyways, right? So just completely losing like 100% defense or something, or 70% defense extra when you're on low HP means that he's just a sitting duck, right? On those situations, which ideally you don't want that to happen. He gets the additional attacks, which is cool. It makes him like a mini Blue Evolution Vegeta, which is what he was originally back in the day, right? Just like a mini Blue Evolution Vegeta with those attacks. But it's like you want to put him in slot 1 ideally to get the full benefit from that, but you can't really be ran in slot 1 because his defense is not high enough. His stats, they should have like just made him more of a unit you could place in slot 1. Like maybe in slot 1 he gets damage reduction, or even like guard specifically in slot 1, something like that, because he doesn't really do anything special besides that, right? He just attack and defense, and he does like additionals, and that's it, right? It's like, oh cool. But as a free-to-play unit where they're gonna give him lower stats in general, it's just not gonna work out the best, unfortunately. So although he could be usable, I'm not really a big fan of the way that they ended up making him, unfortunately.
Minato, if they gave him guard in slot 1, they probably would have given him a chance to guard as the first attacker. So you'd have a chance after attacking.
Well,
so they're probably okay just not giving him the guard anyways.
With guard units, what happens is that the guard will activate before they attack, even if it says that's the first attacker.
Sure.
Because that's how Janemba works.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and the Tech
But-
Supreme Kai as well, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking exactly. The Tech Supreme Kai has guarantee guard in the first slot. So it's like, as an LR, I feel like it wouldn't be that big of a deal to give him that just guard in the first
No,
slot,
they
right?
should have.
But it's like, I don't know what they're thinking, really.
Yeah, the issue in general I have with the whole chance to guard mechanic is that we don't have any way of knowing it's active until we get slapped up and we're dead. So
Yep.
they need to put a little icon or something on there, right? Ningen, Joker, do you guys have any thoughts on this? I know it's a JP only thing right now.
Nah, just like Minato covered most things. Like he does seem very underwhelming, which is unfortunate. Confusing design choices, because obviously, whilst you don't have to run him in slot 1, just from the way he's designed, right? Like he gets extra buffs and stuff after he receives an attack. So that part of his kit kind of cries out that they want you to put him in slot 1, but then they don't really give him all the pieces that he needs to be a good slot 1 unit. So
Yeah.
it's just another odd design choice, unfortunately.
It makes me wonder if sorry, Joker, go ahead. You were going to say something.
No, I was just say I think he is built more for players who are just coming into the game, because he's mid in difficult content. That's not a joke. But he is good for new people because, if they farm up the new free-to-play units and like, okay, well, we can farm up this Super Saiyan LR Vegeta. And, he's good for new players. He's not good for endgame content.
His leader skills, Pure Saiyan's key form with 30%. That's, again, like you said, that is good for new players. So I can see that point.
Yeah, but that's literally it. It's like, for new players, he's good. Farm him up. Get your box rolling with a Pure Saiyan's lead because, what are most of the units in the game? Other than that, though, he's going to sit there, and after you've upgraded your box and upgraded your units, then he's just going to sit there forever. But that's just what I was going to say.
And that actually leans into what I was going to talk about, and it does make me think about the situation a little bit differently, because as a veteran player, I kind of wish they did these prime battles more like how they were doing it with Prime Battle Frieza, where he was a lot more difficult to get because he required an EZA Prime Battle unit, which then required another 6 units. But then at the time, he was really, really good. And I thought they were going to move forward with that. And I was really expecting these Prime Battles to be really good. But now that you mentioned, they probably either got bad feedback about how hard it was to get the Frieza. I mean, if they just put the Krillin in the shop, that would help, right? And global. But then I think it might be just feedback towards newer players, and they maybe wanted, because it is a free-to-play unit, they maybe wanted to cater more to newer players. And then to me, that makes more sense. But I liked how Frieza was more difficult to get, therefore they made him a lot better. So I haven't been as impressed with the Prime Battles lately, but yeah, it could be better. I do see the point about it being good for new players, right? Okay, so we do have some content here for both versions in our joint celebration. So we've got the new Super Battle Road stage, and we have a new ESBR, and we have a new Infinite Dragon Ball History stage. So we'll start with the Super Battle Road. So Global got Kamehameha, and JP got Terrifying Conquerors. Minato, did you take on that JP stage yet?
Yeah, I know. I had a bit first try. It was easy, right?
Pretty
AGL
easy.
Terrorless, AGL Ginyu just destroy it. It's very, very nice. AGL Terrorless, my goat, man, for real.
Oh God, I can't wait. It's going to take us forever to get that AGL Turles, but yeah, I'm waiting. I want him.
Actually, I think Ginyu might be next on Global, right? Next month.
He should be next.
Yeah, so
So-
Ginyu, it should be Ginyu before the anniversary, and then after the anniversary, it should be Raditz. So we'll get Turles then.
Yeah, Turles
before
won't come
the
till
worldwide
Raditz, right?
celebration.
Yeah. And
No,
that's
Raditz
longer
will
than I
probably
want
be
to
stuck
rate.
in between, right?
Yeah, Raditz
Yeah.
is in that
Turles is
horrible
with
death
Ginyu.
zone for Global.
Terrorless is with Ginyu, right?
No, I thought he was with Raditz. He's after Raditz.
Was he?
After
Yeah,
with
yeah.
all
he
the
was
Raditz
with
memes and stuff
Raditz.
that we were doing on Twitter, how could you
Yeah.
forget that? Like, come on.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because
It was
Raditz,
with
when Raditz, as
my
soon as
bad.
Raditz was announced as the Dokkan Fest, we all knew Turles was going to get his EZA because they're obviously both low class Saiyans.
Oh,
So,
oh
yeah,
yeah, because I forgot Ginyu was going on during the anniversary in JP. That's why.
Yeah,
My
because
bad.
Global is for Global. He's in that like death sentence time zone of being between the
Everyone's skipping.
anniversary and the worldwide download celebration. So everyone's going to be
I
tapped
mean-
out from the anniversary and not want to summon because the worldwide download celebration is coming. So if
Funny
anyone,
enough-
I'd be surprised if anyone summons from Raditz.
It's possible. I wouldn't be surprised if Raditz was before the anniversary instead of.
I
Ginyu.
mean,
That would be great
better
because then
for
I would
them,
not
yeah.
feel bad
Yeah.
about skipping him at
That'd
all.
be easy stones saved right there.
Yeah.
Because like they know Ginyu's gonna be a more successful banner. I'm sure they know based on what they saw with the GP sales.
I
So
think that's why they won't change it, though, I think. Because if they put Ginyu before the anniversary, they know people will be tempted to summon. Whereas, like we just said,
Worldwide
if they put
celebration,
Raditz first, it will be like a guaranteed skip. Plus, if
mean,
you
I
remember
can see
last
that.
year, obviously we'll talk about this, I guess, on a different episode when it gets closer to the time. But they released Tapion and Minosha right before the anniversary as the second part of the I actually can't even remember who it was now. The Dokkan Fest that came out before the anniversary for us last year.
I
It was JP's first one after the anniversary. I can't remember
Was it-
now.
go to the
Uh,
trunks.
Yeah, that's it. But then they brought out Tapion and Minosha as like the part 2 LR who came out after the anniversary for JP. So on Global, we'll
Yep.
potentially get Ginyu and then Goku and Piccolo and then the anniversary. So
Right.
that's going to be an interesting time for us.
Yeah, so I got to wait till August to get that Turles. That's what I'm talking about. Joker, did you take on the Kamehameha stage yet of SBR?
Yeah, I beat it last night running the U7 team.
Nice.
Yeah, I just used
Little
both
bit
of
of
them
dodge there.
for the same stages. Yeah, a little bit of dodge, a little bit of revive from Roshi.
Yeah.
It worked out really well. It didn't take too many attempts. The units obviously do hit a little bit harder now that we've gotten further down the normal SBR chain. They have to make them, moderately difficult. Definitely not as difficult as ESBR, but still, the Kamehameha team is just, it's way too stacked up to give any player with a decent box really that much trouble, especially if you're not trying to go for like a no item run. It's pretty self-explanatory. So I didn't find it too challenging.
No, pretty easy run. Ningen, how about you?
I mean, what do you think?
Kamehameha. U7.
Did them both, no items. Funnily enough, I didn't use the Reps of Universe 7 team on the Kamehameha stage simply because, for the sake of content, I didn't want to use the same team for like both videos. Because obviously they both came out on the same day for Global. So obviously I know I item'd them both straight away. I think I put the Reps one up like a day later just because I had obviously all the new videos for Goku and Cell to do as well. So Reps of Universe 7. Let's be honest, like it's not hard, it's like in air quotes, it's just RNG. Like as long as your UI Goku's dodge and you have Roshi on rotation for the turns where you potentially then get killed but get the revive, then it's honestly not that difficult. Kamehameha I could definitely see being more difficult, but again, you can just use the Reps of Universe 7 team. I used the new Goku and Gohan. I used them as the double leads, but the rest of the team was basically just Goku family. So they were the only ones getting the 200% leader skill. But yeah, they obviously did very, very well. Like, as we just said, like the fact that Goku can stun and then dodge after supering, like really, really good for Super Battle Road. So yeah, it wasn't that difficult with that team, even though they were the only ones getting the 200% leader skill.
And then Minato, on your ESBR stage, you got Wicked Bloodline. Was that basically the same team that you used for Terrifying Conquerors, or it looked a little bit different?
It looked different. I ran like full power Frieza and stuff like that. I think that the Wicked Bloodline stage was a little difficult, right? But it was pretty easy. Full power Frieza just kind of destroys it, right? Especially if you're using items, it's not an issue at all.
Yeah, I feel like that one, surely you just put like, you just have both rotations be AGL or Tech Golden Frieza in slot 1 and then LR Full Power Frieza in slot 2.
And then third form Frieza's in there.
If you're going for a no item run, yeah, but I just kind of wanted to blitz through it, so I didn't even bring them.
Yeah. So, because then you can have units like third form Frieza, that Int Namek Frieza, like all in slot 3. And then, yeah, unless you get really unlucky and Full Power Frieza eats a super attack, I can't imagine that would be that difficult.
Right, and if you're putting full power in slot 1, then he's double super and guaranteed and just tearing them up. So, yeah.
Are all the enemies in that stage a super class?
I think they're all Saiyans as well, aren't they?
Oh, good.
Yeah. There's like Goku's too.
Yeah,
so
it's
like,
every single fight has a Goku family enemy, so you can use that in Namek Frieza that gets damage reduction and gives
he's
support
good.
if there's a Goku family, so he's really good, yeah.
And then you can use Frieza's active skill to one-shot pretty much anyone else when they get to that point.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it's kind of crazy because that Int Final Form Frieza is a free-to-play unit. Is he not the best like Final Form Frieza in the game? Like, he might be the best Final Form Frieza in the game. Like, they need like a really good Final Form Frieza, like a Dokkan Fest.
Well, who else we got? We got the Banner AGL one.
Yeah, and he's like an AoE unit, and you don't really use him. And then there's the STR one. I mean, they've got the STR one will get an easy A at some point, but
he could be really good with an easy A.
With an easy A, I think he could be. But it's astounding to me that one of the most iconic villains, like just the standard Final Form Frieza, does not have a Dokkan Fest or an LR.
It's coming.
Through transformation we see him, but not as the starting form. So that's whenever I think of that unit, I always think, wow, this free to play Final Form Frieza is the best Final Form Frieza in the game, which is kind of weird. So I don't know. All right, so then we got Infinite Dragon Ball History, which is I'm not commenting on the Super Battle Road. I actually haven't done them yet, but I'm sure I'll just blitz through them and they'll be pretty easy. But I did do the Infinite Dragon Ball History stage, so this was Android Cell Saga. And I believe on mine, I just ran like a bunch of Cal and Caulifla units because it was Rapid Growth. Does anybody remember what the two categories were?
Rapid Growth and Mastered Evolution.
Mastered Evolution, yeah. So I just ran like I think Super Vegeta and then two Gohans that actually had all that covered, and then I just put Cal and Cauliflas on there and destroyed it. It was pretty easy. It wasn't that hard. The one thing to watch out here though is they do throw like a physical cell at you pretty early that can really hit you hard. I took a shot for 300k and I wasn't expecting it. So yeah, I almost got caught there, but otherwise it wasn't too bad. I think there's a little bit of one of the cells I think can lock you in, and the Gohan at the end can hit really hard as well. But Joker, did you take this on? How did you do with the Infinite Dragon Ball History?
Well, I used the strategy you did, and I used the girls to steamroll this event because my tech Kale and Cleef are only 55%, but I brought a rainbowed friend one, and then the Fizz, Easy A, Kefla, super good. LR, Kale and Cleefla are still really, really good for long events. And then the Easy A's for the STR Caulifla and Int Kale Super Saiyans are both pretty decent as just third floaters, and the KO is a support unit too, so it
Yep.
worked really well.
Nice.
Wasn't that hard.
Ningen, how about you?
Yeah, I had a great time. I loved doing this stage. I did it after my summons on stream. I always do my Infinite Dragon Ball history runs completely blind because obviously they're not the hardest events, so I don't look up like the phases beforehand. I don't know like the mechanics and stuff like that. And so I had a great moment. I did tweet it out. People feel free to go find it if you want to see it. It was pretty funny. But obviously there's a stage where you fight the 5 Cell Juniors.
Mhm.
So I believe, as I said this on stream, it's the first Infinite Dragon Ball history stage that just has a random stage where you fight multiple enemies.
Yeah.
But I used the Majin Vegeta 200% leader skill team because I think I brought Super Trunks and Super Vegeta and somebody else who are on like Mastered Evolution and Rapid Growth. So I had the 200% team. And when I got to that stage with the Cell Juniors, as it was loading up, I was saying to the chat, I was like, oh, there's multiple enemies in an Infinite Dragon Ball history stage. That's interesting. And then it finished loading in my rotation. And then that little active skill thing came in for Majin Vegeta. And I was like,
Yep.
oh, Majin Vegeta's active skill is available on this turn against multiple enemies. So yeah, just fired that off, guaranteed crits, boom, 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 all dead, move on to the next phase.
Oh,
So it
nice.
was great. It was such a fun time. So
But
it is what it
Ningen,
is. It's Dragon Ball history. It's, it's not the hardest event in the world, but I could genuinely say I actually had a fun time doing that run. So it was great.
Ningen, did you enjoy tapping the screen 15 times to get through all the effects that each Cell Junior does?
Yeah, I thought that was great.
I
That's
just
right. I made
record-
the turn faster by just using the Majin Vegeta active skill, so it was all good.
Oh, for sure. I just recorded a race with Gal, and that turn came up. I'm like, oh, the Cell Juniors are stalling me out. I got to tap through them all. It's kind of like who can tap through the quickest. Kind of crazy. Minato, how was your experience with the stage?
Be the first try, very easy, right? It's nothing really. It was annoying having to tap through all those Cell Juniors, but it's pretty easy. Yeah, I saw that clip Ningen, by the way, of the final explosion. Pretty pog.
Yeah, it was great. It's because it was just I hadn't even been counting like the attacks he'd received or anything. Like I say, I didn't know there was going to be a stage where there were multiple enemies. So yeah, it just happened to be that stage was when I got the active skill to pop up. There you go. Look, you can see the look on my face. It's up on the screen. I was like, wait, you know what this means, boys. Make sure the animation skip is not turned on. And then, yeah, we just hit that active skill. And because obviously he gets, it's guaranteed crit. So
Yep.
yeah, just boom, boom, boom. All the Cell Juniors were dead. So it was a good time.
That's awesome. It's nice to actually see that stuff because it's like there's so few events in the game that have multiple enemies. It's like pretty much Super Battle Road. So it's like I've used that active skill and you almost forget it's an AoE because you're always just hitting a single target. So it is nice that I bet it felt really good when you popped that off.
Exactly.
Real
Because, yeah, like
good.
we talked about it when he came out, it's like in Super Battle Road, by the time you get to use his active skill, you've often killed like most of the enemies already anyway. So, yeah, actually getting to use it on a full field of enemies and just kill them all, it was, it was good fun.
I think Dokkan needs to do more of this just in like longer events, like just have phases with multiple enemies. I think that would be really good. We get to use more of the unit skills and things like that. So yeah, I think that's really cool. I might have to try that out myself. I'm going to try that run out myself, I think. Next up, we got one of everyone's favorite modes, Chain Battle versus Android 16.
Hooray.
So we're gonna talk about. We'll start with Ningen here. Do you have any tips for like top scores? What kind of scores are you getting? What kind of team setup are you using?
I thought you were going to say, do you have any tips for Chain Battle? Because then I was going to just say, don't play it. But
Oh, I threw
in
you
terms
off.
of man, I can't even speak on this one because this is yet another example of Chain Battle being annoyingly confusing. Where I made a team that is like, I know obviously there are minor differences, but like picking out the friend supporters, I made a team exactly the same as all the people in the leaderboard that are getting like 140 million, and my top score is like 114, which puts me currently in like the top 5%. So yeah, I don't know. From what I've seen, you need to get the super supporters need to all be Gohans, and then the
Yep.
extreme need to all be cells with as many perfect cells as possible. Then you use int LR Gohan as the main attacker, and then you use AGL LR Gohan and int LR Cell as the connectors. But even with like The ones where, you know, like when you proper actually try and you sit and you pick like multiple different friends and you compare the numbers that they're giving you for all the categories. And again, today I went with like the highest possible combinations I could find. And I only beat my top score by probably like a couple of thousand. So it was still only really realistically 114 million. So yeah, I don't know. This one is seems like it's a little bit more annoying than the previous one, at least for me. So
Yeah, I find it quite frustrating because it's like you said, you set up what you think is a really good team and you don't get the score you do. And then you do like your secondary run and you get your high score. That's like what happened to me. I tried really hard, set it all up, got like 110, something like that. And then I did my secondary attempt and got 122, and then I'm top 2%. But it's like, yeah, I think this one is going to be a challenging one too, because I think a lot of people are going to have good setups because that the LR Gohan and Cell are a big part of it, and people have pulled so many copies of them. It's very common to see TURs and SSR versions of them in there. I've even tried setups. You know, you said the Int Gohan is the main attacker and the AGL is the side supporter. I'm actually running two rainbowed AGL. So I rainbowed two copies of the AGL Gohan. So I've been trying some runs with him as the main attacker and as the supporter, but my highest score still had the Int Gohan as the leader. So, Minato, how are you doing on score?
I got 137 million.
Okay.
So I would say Gohan's part of the better supporter just because I think SA25 might matter.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Which is why
you mean attacker?
The attacker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as a main attacker, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I think I'm running Gohan as my supporter. I found that with the extreme class, you don't want LR physical cell at all because he just doesn't link as well with the other cells. So you don't want to run physical cell at all. You just want all the power absorption cells, which is like every cell that's not the final perfect cell, right? The run I got, I had Truth in both of mine, so that's why I was able to get a high score, right? Truth had, you know, the Int Gohan, the LR AGO Gohan, the TUR AGO Gohan. Basically, you want as many just Super Saiyan 2 Gohans as possible. You want at least two AGO Gohans, the LR and the TUR. If we're talking about like a really high score, right? You want at least like as many int cells as you can get in there for the extreme class, because that's really important with their categories and stuff like that. I was able to get 137 million again. My pick three was really good. It was again AGLR Gohan, Int LR Gohan, and then the TUR of the AGLR Gohan, right? So that's really all that affected into the score. It's like I found that again, if you want to get like a top 1% score, you need multiple AGLR Gohans. Or actually, Truth's Run also had the TUR of the Int LR Gohan too, right? You want multiple of those to really get super high into there, or else you're just not gonna do as well, unfortunately.
Gotcha. Joker, how's your run so far?
I think I'm at the very bottom end of the top 1% at 127.5 million right
Okay.
now. But
Yep.
I got super lucky where I have a bunch of super whales on the friends list, and they had rainbowed copies of the Tech Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and the STR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and one of the AGL one or something. And I got all three of them to pop up on the pick three. So I lucked out on there, but I've been seeing the scores climb up considerably every single day. So I think the top end is now 145 million on global. So I will very soon get pushed out of top 0.1%.
Yeah, I'm feeling like 130 is kind of a comfortable spot if you can hit 130. That's what I'm going to try to shoot for. Ningen, were you saying something else?
No, I was saying damn.
Damn,
Yeah,
I know.
it does seem like you really need to get lucky with the three supporters that it gives you to pick like mid fight. Because if you can get like all three forms of LR Gohan, then that's obviously going to give you a really good score. But even the run I had earlier, it was like the SSR AGL Gohan, TUR AGL Gohan, and then the TUR of the Int LR Gohan, because I think in his TUR he's a Super Saiyan 2 already, not Super Saiyan 1. So they obviously aren't the perfect three to pick. But the thing I do find about this one that's really annoying is a lot of chain battles are like this. We've had one or two that are not like this, where you have your main connectors that you want to use, which is obviously LR Gohan and LR Cell. But then once you've had that first attempt, none of the other ones that you can use in their place are like as good. So I'm quite surprised you got a higher score on your second attempt, because I usually find once the first attempt is done, none of the other attempts come anywhere close to that. Whereas I remember there was one recently that we had where you could do your first attempt, and then on the second one you could switch the main attacker and like the connector around,
Yep.
and you could still get like a similar kind of score. Whereas on this one, my second and third attempts have always been way worse than the first one. So
I
no,
think
when
what it was
I-
on mine was I did one with the Int Gohan as the attacker, and then AGL Gohan is the side unit, and then I did a double AGL Gohan. And since I have two LRs, I could use the second LR as the connector twice. So I think that's how I was able to do it. But yeah, it's kind of weird how that happens sometimes. Joker, were you going to add on to that?
I was just say, like, my two runs that I've done were not consecutively back to back. They were 2 different days, so I would just wait for the friend reset and the attacker reset, because as soon as the first one's done, I get the score. I'm like, okay, I'm out. I'm gonna get to something else. I don't care about getting the extra, like, what, 60 or 80 a currency
Yeah.
for doing the other runs. I was like, no, I
Yeah,
want to do
with-
this as quick as possible.
yeah, with this one, I've literally had my first attempt. Both days that it's been active, I've done my first attempt, done a second attempt, and it been way lower, and so then just not even bother doing the other ones, because I don't want to. That's the other thing we've talked about a million times. If you could just use a stone to reset all of
Yep.
your friends without having to use all 5 attempts, then I might actually try like a couple more attempts per day. But I don't like having to go through all of those other obviously failed attempts to then spend a stone to reset just to have one more like attempt. I'll just wait until tomorrow. So
Yeah.
Yep, that's my gripe as well, because basically I just get to my daily reset, and then if it gets to the last day and I'm not where I want to be, then I'll grind out all the 5 attempts so I can finally use stones. But yeah, I wish they would just let you use stones right away. And I think the whole idea with getting the random the pick 3s at the end, that's their way of trying to get you to use stones, because they want you to
Yep.
find that perfect setup, but then not give you the right pick 3 and then make you want to go in and do it again. But they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot, because players like us, we don't want to sit there and go through 5 attempts to get to the point where we can use stones. So yeah, I totally get the frustration with that. Chain battle is at least, as opposed to World Tournament, you don't have to grind it all weekend. You can do your one attempt and then put it down. But yeah, I think everyone would agree. Chain battle and World Tournament, not the funnest modes. The rewards are good though. And speaking of rewards, I like to wait till the very end to do all my chest openings. But have any of you guys done chest openings yet and gotten anything good?
I do
do.
them all as we go. So
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
I just need defense equipment, so I'm just like out of a lot
Yeah.
of them, and I'm not getting any. So that sucks, right? I really
Yep.
wish I had more just defense equips. But oh well.
Yeah.
I think
Ningen,
the
how about
best one
you?
I've-
yeah, it's like I said before, I just spam mine whenever I get them. So like, that was like I say on the day that it came out, I used the first bunch, because when you do the first bunch of missions, obviously when you do your first attempt, if you get over 100 million, you obviously complete like 20 missions or something all in one go. And so that gives you a couple of thousand of the currency. So I used all of that straight away, and that's actually how I then got the silver level 5 additional to put on
Oof.
Goku and Gohan. So yeah, I just use them all straight away.
Joker, how about you?
Yeah, I use mine as well, and the only 2 good things I got out of my like 2,300 currency is a silver level 5 a crit for Fizz, and a level 4 gold crit and orb HP recovery. So I mean that's
Okay.
pretty good. It's just that only 2 of them out of the entire stock.
Yeah, I'm really hoping so. I'm gonna save mine till the end. I like to do it at the end, and I usually have enough for like 10 multis or something like that. So it's kind of fun to do them all at the end, and then I can use I get like 2 pulls of the guaranteed gold ones or whatever. But I'm really hoping for some STR additional equips for bronze and silver, because I want to put them on my Goku and Gohan. So if I could get that level 5, I would definitely take that. All right, so we'll move on from chain battle. So we're pretty much wrapping up here. The last thing we'll mention is that we do know that STR Ultimate Gohan is getting an EZA. We're going to talk about him next week a little bit more. But does anybody else have anything they want to throw in before we jump into break?
Actually,
All
we're
right.
not doing break.
We're not doing break. Okay, so does anybody want to share anything before we hop into Twitter questions?
Nah, I'm good.
Nope.
No,
Okay.
I don't think
Okay.
so. I think we've covered everything that we
Okay. Yeah, we
wanted
covered
to
it pretty
mention.
good. All right, so let's hop into some Twitter questions. So our first question today comes from Kim, and Kim asks, now that the Android Saga, and I believe he's talking about Android slash Cell Saga, just
Yeah.
got another massive buff, where would you rank it among other Saga teams? So Android Cell Saga, Joker, where would you rank them right now?
Ooh.
Mm.
It's a tough one.
Among the other side, let me pull up my categories real fast. Hold on. Character list.
I can give you a
Saga,
minute. We
so
can ask someone else first and
I
let
mean,
you
it's
look at it.
I would say it's probably I would say it's still second to Majin Buu Saga, but I think it's a safe second, and then would probably come Universe Survival Saga, then Shadow Dragon Saga.
Okay.
Mm. I mean,
Ningen,
Shadow
what do you
Dragon
think?
Saga has the anniversary LR and
Yeah,
both
that's
the
what
LR
that's
Super Saiyan
I'm
40s.
kind of
so I think
counting that,
that's
but not counting that at the
possibly.
same time on global.
Yeah, because for global, yeah, that is true. Because global, we don't have that yet. But because
Yeah.
Majin Buu Saga, I would say is unarguably the best one. Does everyone agree with that? Right, just because of how big it is.
Yeah, I agree with it.
And then yeah,
It's
in
got
terms of
Tech Gohan on it.
JP, obviously Shadow Dragon Saga is way better than it is on global. Dragon Ball Saga in the mud. Namek Saga obviously has some good units on it, but not a lot.
It's like 3.
Future Saga definitely needs some love, has been quite a while. And then Universe Survival Saga does have some really good units. Obviously, the 6th anniversary really bolstered that team. So yeah, it's definitely, for global right now, I would say it's definitely top 3. I don't know whether it is 2 or 3, because Universe Survival Saga is pretty damn good at its best. So top 3 for sure.
Yeah, on global, I had them at top 3 for me, but Minato being a JP player, where would you rank them?
I would say that's hard because I think it's better than Namek Saga. I think it's probably better than Saiyan Saga too. Even though Saiyan Saga is a good team, it just doesn't have the options. Buu Saga is probably better. Just because it just has way too many options. Buu Saga, right? Although the leader, we have the 200% leader for Majin Vegeta, right? It's
Yep.
definitely better than Future Saga. In my opinion, it might be better than Universe. I think it's better than the Universe Survival Saga. Because if you really look at the Universe Survival Saga category team, all those units, like, except for Kel and Caulifla and some of the Universe, like, 6 Saiyans, like, every unit is, like, from before the 6th anniversary, which is, like, well over a year ago at this point. So that's one thing to really consider in terms of JP, right? Which is why I feel like it might be like just a second or even the best. Honestly, maybe. Probably not the best. I think Busog is still better, honestly, but it is definitely up there, really up there for sure.
For sure, for sure. Okay, let's hop onto the second question here. So the second question comes from the Legend 27. Do you ever think we can get some reworked support items, or to buff up some of them? So I think what he's getting at here is that we have a lot of items like the healing capsules and like just these weird items that we never use. Like I think in Dokkan, there's just a handful of, we're always using Ghost Ushers and Princess Snakes and Whis and items like that. But there's so many items that we just don't use. So he's wondering, do we think they'll ever get buffed? And I'll just jump in really quick and say, I think they could definitely do something very similar to like what they did with Link levels. If you guys remember, Links used to be really bad. They were like flat boosts. They weren't even percentage based, and they just did a major overhaul. I could see them doing overhauls and changing some of these items that are just like heal 2000 HP and maybe make it a percentage instead. So I definitely think they could do something like that. Ningen, what are your thoughts on buffing items in the future?
Yeah, I think it would be an interesting thing if they did that and maybe just I mean, they don't even necessarily need to buff every item in the sense that they could just scrap off a load of the ones that don't do anything and then have, some slightly upgraded versions or ones that do slightly more interesting things. Because realistically, there's what, like 6 items or maybe 7 that you use ever, like across different events. So yeah, they're just so many of them are so pointless. Like even not long after being a newer player, like when do you ever use those like the energy drinks or whatever they are, like the
Right.
really low quality healing items? Um Because I mean, you can buy, even back in the day as a new player, you could buy, is it like 3 senzu beans a day from the Zenny, like part of the barbershop. So I mean, at this point, like any long-standing player, you've got like thousands and thousands of senzu beans. But because the heal is the main thing that they do, most of the time you don't ever use them. The only time I ever use those now is if I'm doing a run on an event where I know there's an enemy that locks you in place. Just so I can get rid of it. Like if I'm trying to do a showcase, because I don't want my
Yep.
rotations to be messed up. But yeah, like realistically, you use what? Like Ghost Usher, and that's pretty much only in the World Tournament. And then it's like Princess Snake, Whis,
Android 8.
Icarus, Android 8, the mouse item, maybe in Super Battle Road.
Maybe a King Yemma.
And then King Yemma,
King Yemma,
again,
yeah.
maybe for like World Tournament. I mean, that's pretty much it. I think the only other item I sometimes use is for World Tournament. If I don't want to use a Ghost Usher, I'll use the Barber item that like seals all the enemies, and then use like a Yemma, like use those two together rather than using a Ghost Usher. So for me, realistically, unless it's like for a funny video where I want to do like a big nuke with nuke items or something, there's like 6 or 7 items I use and that's it. So even if they buffed every single item in the game and made it slightly better, you probably still wouldn't use them over some of these other ones. So I think it would be good if they revamped some of them, gave them some interesting new effects, and then just got rid of all the other ones, because there's just so many that are just completely pointless.
Yeah, another one I do use frequently is the Fruit of the Tree of Might. I think that's a pretty decent one sometimes as well. And then, yeah, if you're doing something
Yep.
with nukers or punching bag, you're going to use orb changing items, right? Minato, your thought on buffing items?
I think it'd be cool. But honestly, they could. Honestly, I think a better approach would be just to scrap all those old items and just give us a ton of new ones. That would be cool, right? Buffing them would be nice though, as well. Like if you're like a really really old veteran, like month 1 of Dokkan, and like you used to use all those old items, and you're like, wow, this is actually good again. You know, nostalgia, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, with so limited item slot usage anyways, they probably are not going to see it as a priority because we have enough good items to fill those slots. So yeah, it could definitely not be a priority for them unless they do a different mode where maybe you would need to use a lot of items and they gave you more options. But Joker, do you have anything to add?
I mean, so they kind of have begun the rework for items because that's what the support memories kind of are. They do take a lot of like what the old items used to do and kind of bundle them up into that alongside some extra effects, but they are separate still, so you can use both of them together. But I think that they'll continue to keep pushing support memories, and then when's the last time we got a new actual item? What the
I think the newest ones are like the Chili, the mouse, like kind of that range,
yeah,
isn't it? Those
the
type
nuking
items.
ones.
The nuking ones, yeah. I think those are the newest.
And we haven't gotten a new one since. So I think they're gonna shy away from introducing new items into the game because power creep is a thing. New units have literal paragraphs of information, and the items that we have currently are really good. And like Ningen said, we only use like 7 of them, so why introduce more?
Right, for sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and we will move on to the next question. And this comes from Toxikiri, and they ask if Dokkan decides to do more with the D-transform mechanic, what type of units would you like to see with that mechanic? And I believe they're referring to, isn't it like the free-to-play Super Saiyan 3 Goku and then it D-transforms?
Yeah.
Is that the one I'm
Yeah.
thinking
In
of?
the Super Spirit Bomb with Hercule.
Yeah. So I'll just throw out one right away. I think for me, the one that would fit this the best would be a Battle of Gods God Goku, because I believe while he's fighting Beerus, he actually de-transforms and doesn't realize it and is still fighting in Super Saiyan form. And I think he figures out that he like absorbs the God power or whatever. But to me, that's one that would like really make sense for it. Ningen, what do you think for a de-transform mechanic?
Well, that's the one I was going to say. I feel like that's the number one pick. Because obviously you can give that unit the I will not let you destroy my world active skill that I keep going on about.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of somebody else other than that who that we could have.
Sorry,
They
to
probably
pick the
are.
obvious one.
I know,
I mean-
that's the one I was going to pick. So
They could just do another Super Saiyan 3 Goku that does a Spirit Bomb, but summonable, right? The same as a free to play one. They could just do that again, right?
I mean, if you think of too, like just any of these time limit units, like a Goten that like, oh, all of a sudden I'm Goten and Trunks again, right? Like they could do something like that.
I was just gonna say it would be kind of interesting if we got like a Gogeta or like a Vegeta Blue or something then that's what the unit starts off as and then de-transforms into like Goku and Vegeta, but then that like the Goku and Vegeta part is actually better because that's the part you get later on. Like that'd be kind of interesting.
See, my thought was like JP just got him and we're going to get him like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. But what if we get a standalone Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta that de-transforms and back into Super Saiyan 4s? Just the opposite of what all the fusing units do already. Yeah, it'd be easy.
Sure. Yep.
I mean, we can get another Super Saiyan Goku from the Android 13 movie. No, actually, no. He keeps in Super Saiyan for that, huh? Never mind. I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm not sure who else really. I mean, I'm trying to think of when a unit de-transforms, where the character de-transforms in the series, and then just kind of goes on forward with that.
Yeah,
it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, I mean, the Battle of Gods was the first one that came to my mind, and then I'm just any of those time limit fusions I think would make sense.
Vilify's got one, Golden Frieza in base form.
Oh yeah, because when he first gets Golden Frieza, he doesn't master it, so he can't hold it as long.
Yeah, someone in the chat said as well, Super Saiyan 4 Goku that de-transforms and then does the Spirit Bomb, like from the end of the Omega.
Oh,
thing.
yep. I mean, Kid Goku again,
Speaking of that, it could be a Super Saiyan 4 Goku that de-transforms into Goku in 18. From the Super 17 fight.
You want that link all over the place, huh? You want 18 and Goku?
The base from Goku is it could just be a base from Goku with the 18 unit super or something, right?
Or couldn't they do?
Yeah, we need more units to fill out the Super 17 saga category. So that is true. We need that.
Because isn't there that moment where Cell like spits up 18 and then he goes back to second form very briefly?
Yeah, because he does that in the super attack effect for the STR one that does the AoE.
Yeah.
That'd be weird as a card, though, I feel like.
Well, could it be like a Cell that is like perfect, then goes second form, and then he does the where he explodes as like a revive mechanic, and then he comes back as the actual perfect Cell, like maybe something where it's a de-transform and then into another transform.
Yeah, it'd be like a cross between the STR one and then the int LR like HP mechanic thing. So it's like you de-transform into second form Cell, and then you get an active skill or a revival that is him blowing himself up and then coming back as perfect Cell again. Should be interesting. And obviously, if they did that, they could design him specifically to work well with this new Cell. So that could be pretty cool.
For sure. All right, well, let's go to our last question, which comes from James D. Pinto. And he asks, what can Dokkan Weekend possibly do to keep up with Legends Weekend and its fantastic rewards that players look forward to weekly? Well, I'll tell you this. I don't play Dragon Ball. Like, what's Dragon Ball Legends? I don't play Dragon Ball Legends.
How did this get picked? How are people simping for Legends in the question for... the Dokkan
because it's iron.
I don't know. The simple answer overall is that Legends can't keep up with Dokkan. So what is it talking about? What could Dokkan do to keep up with Legends? Outrageous.
I don't know who this like James guy is, but he sounds like a short loser.
He does.
Who can't get a girlfriend.
Yeah, I think the real question is what can Legend Zenkai do to keep up with Dokkan EZA? Because EZA is by far the better mechanic than Zenkai. I think that's the real question here.
Yeah, Mr. James D. Pinto.
Why
don't you let us know, huh?
Why don't you come on the Dokkan Battle podcast once, James D. Pinto? We can discuss this as men.
This James D. Pinto stole Iron Cane's 5'9" logo and his Twitter handle, apparently. So we got to find this guy. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. Iron's being held captive. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, somebody kidnapped him. Somebody from Legends, apparently. All right, well, does anybody have anything else they want to add for today's show? All right, well, I think that will do it. We'll wrap it up for today. This has been episode 80 of the Dokkan Battle podcast. I would like to thank everyone who joined us live today, everyone listening on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. I would also like to thank our amazing guests today. We have Ice Cold Joker, Mass Ningen, Minato, and shout out to Vilify behind the scenes. My name is Joe Wags. It has been an absolute honor hosting for you today. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all next week. See ya.